Any other questions with that? Does it matter if I do this all in one step, or would it be better to go ahead and do it in two? Because sometimes trying to,
It's fine.
okay, sometimes doing too much can be more confusing than just leaving it the way it was. Okay, here we have a negative 3 over 8 divided by 7 over 8. Now, when we are dividing two rational numbers, right, or two fractions, what do we have to do? That's right. We have to flip and multiply, right? We've got to multiply the reciprocal. Okay, so that's going to be negative 3 over 8 times 8 over 3. Now,
8 over
So-
7.
oh,
or 8 over 7 rather. Let me go ahead and redo that. So that'd be negative 3 over 8 times 8 over 7. Okay. Now, sometimes people look at the minus sign like in the middle, in between them, and they'll ask me, well, where does that minus sign go? Well, the minus sign, when you go to cancel, always put it up with the numerator. Okay? So, if you're not sure, where to put the minus sign, just put it up with the numerator. Okay, now we look to see negative 3 doesn't cancel anything, right? But 8 does, right? 8's cancel, they go to 1. So that's negative 3 times 1. So our answer is going to be what?
Negative 3.
Negative 3 over 1 times 7 is 7. Okay? And you're always going to flip and multiply the second number. The number right after the division sign, always. Okay? Alright, so let's see. Here we have negative 5 over 12 divided by 15 over 32. Okay, so we're going to, we got negative 5 over 12 times what?
32 over 15.
32 over 15. Okay, so now we've got the 5 can go into 15 3 times, right? But 5 goes in negative 5. The negative is still there. The negative is still there. And you got to be careful with that, because people will cancel this negative 5 out, and all of a sudden that negative's gone. But you can't, that negative doesn't go away unless you multiply or divide with another negative. So that's why you want to keep putting those ones up there, because in this case, if a negative cancels, you still have a negative 1. Okay, now let's see. 12 doesn't cancel into 32, right? Well, what does? 4, right? 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 32, how many? 8 times. And then nothing else cancels, right? So that would be negative 1 times 8, negative 8 over 9, right? Okay? So you got to really watch this one here, because there's a lot of students make mistakes on that right there. Okay? Any questions? All right. Here we have negative 3 over 12 divided by 12. Now it helps to go ahead and put that 12 over 1. Put that as 12 over 1. So, can we cancel? Can we cancel now?
No.
No,
Good. You cannot cancel when you divide. You got to flip it. Multiply, right? Multiply that reciprocal. You cannot cancel. If you cancel now, it's wrong. As tempting as it might be, you got to wait till you flip and multiply. So that makes it what?
1 over 12.
1 over 12, right. The 1 is in the denominator, now it's in the numerator. 12 is now in the denominator. So can we cancel the 12s? No, we cannot. Only numerator to denominator, and only when we're multiplying. But what can we cancel?
3 is 12.
3, yeah. Now you can cancel -3 into the first 12 or the second 12. It does not matter. Either one.
Second 12.
Second, okay. That's fine. But you could do the first one too, and it would be fine. Okay? So that would be 4, right?
And then 1.
And 1 like that? Negative, good. That's right. We don't want to forget that negative. So our answer is going to be what? -1 over what? 48. Good. Okay? Questions there? Alright. Move right along. Here we have a negative 1.6 and then times 4.9. So let's see, is our answer going to be a positive or a negative?
Negative.
It's going to be negative, right? So we're going to go ahead and put a negative there so we don't forget. So we're going to have to go ahead and multiply 4.9 times a negative 1.6, and now we multiply. Okay, 6 times 9 is 54, and then 6 times 4 is 24, and 5 is 29, and then 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 4 is 4, and then that'll be 4, 9 and 9 is 18, and then that'll be 7. But that's going to be, where's our decimal point?
7.84.
7.84, is that our answer?
Negative 7.
Negative 7.84. Negative 7.84. Okay, you want to double check and make sure that you've got the sign right, because it's easy in multiplication to forget that negative. And students, a lot of times you do that. So you want to double check that sign for yourself. Alright, any questions with that? Okay, here we have a negative 3.312 divided by 0.8. Okay, we want to divide, right? But what do we? So what's the first thing we want to do? Good. Put it in rational form. Negative 3.312 over 0.8. Now what do we want to do? We want to divide right away? We can, but you got to be careful of one thing, right? Which is what? What do we got to make?
Decimal point.
Right, you got to make sure that your divisor is a whole number, right? So we got to move that decimal point over one place. Move that one over in the numerator too, right? So that's going to be a negative 33.12 over 8. So our quotient is going to be a positive or a negative? It's going to be negative, right? So when we go to divide, we're going to put that negative up here in our quotient. Okay? So here's 8. And well, it's almost, I kind of wonder doing that if that's going to confuse you. Definitely you want to go ahead and put your negative here. That might be better. Because if it's up here, that might confuse people. But you just got to remember that your quotient's going to be negative. What I'm concerned about is putting the negative up here now. People are going to want to do funny things with the sign, and I don't want to see that happen. So we'll put 33.12, and we just got to remember that our quotient's going to be negative. So now we know that 8 doesn't go into 3, right? But we do know that 8 goes into 33, and that'll be 4, right? 8 times 4 is 32. Make a minus, be a 1, bring the 1